Good evening. It is time for today's tax talk. Once again, today, having some technical difficulties, trying to work through them, and we're doing that. So it is Wednesday, June 22nd, the year of our Lord 2022. We have been talking a lot about the IRS and their backlogs, things they've done to fix it, the surges, hiring new employees, spending more money. All of this has been done. And so that's what we're going to talk about today on today's Tax Talk. Won't you join us? Well, that's where we are. First, I wanted to, I think I've done this several times because I'm having these technical difficulties. The first thing I want to do is give a shout out to CPAPracticeAdvisors.com, CPAPracticeAdvisors.com, where they mentioned me in an article. This article is called Taxpayers with Balances have been put on notice by the IRS. And in the second paragraph, it says, the IRS is not too active collecting immediately after tax season. After all, they have a lot to do. But come the end of June into July, expect the IRS to start contacting you about any unpaid tax or any questions they might have about matching information returns with tax returns. Stephen Leahy, a Chicago area tax attorney, wrote last week on LinkedIn. We do post to LinkedIn. We stream to LinkedIn. We stream to Facebook. We stream to YouTube. We stream to watchtalkradio.com. That's our own website where we post everything. If you wanted to see, there's a search box there. You can put it one of the categories there on the lower. There's a search box on top. Underneath there's another search box by category, and you can search by the today's tax talk category, and you can find all the today's tax talks there. So if you have a question, also have all the attorneys and all those others that we've interviewed throughout the years on that Watch Talk Radio website. So you can go there too. But thanks again to CPAPracticeAdvisor.com. CPAPracticeAdvisor.com. Thanks for the shout out. And so we shout right back at you. Thanks so much. So, but now we're going to start with our story of the day. And our story of the day is IRS expects to finish processing 2021 tax return backlog this week. It's not really the 2021 tax returns. It's the 2020 tax returns that were being processed in 2021. So a little bit, kind of hedging there, I think. So the IRS is rounding the corner on its pandemic-era backlog of tax returns. The agency announced Tuesday that it expects to finish processing the backlog of individual tax returns the agency received in 2021 this week. So there it is, received in 2021. As of June 10th this year, the IRS processed more than 4.5 million of the 4.7 million individual paper tax returns it received, again, in 2021. So not 2021 taxes, but 2020 taxes received in 2021. The agency said it's also successfully processed the vast majority of tax returns taxpayers filed this year. The IRS said more than 143 million returns have been processed overall, with 298 billion in refunds being processed. Well, remember, a good deal more than 90% of all tax returns are done electronically. And they don't have a problem processing electronic returns. There's no labor shortage for that. It's done automatically. Unless there's errors, that's where they have a problem. Because so many are done electronically now, they don't have the pipeline staffed like they used to. And we've shown the video of the pipeline and what it takes to process returns, paper returns. And So they just don't have the facilities to do it as quickly as they once did. To work to address the unprocessed inventory by the end of this year, the IRS has taken aggressive, unprecedented steps to accelerate this important processing work while maintaining accuracy, the agency said in a press release Tuesday. And that's why we're reporting on it today. The COVID-19 pandemic and staffing limitations led to the IRS starting 2022 with a larger than usual inventory of paper tax returns and correspondence filed during 2021. You think? I think they're much bigger. The IRS said it also soon eliminate its backlog of unprocessed paper returns filed in 2021. So that was the press release today. They said they should have it done by the end of the week. IRS Commissioner has repeatedly told Congress that the agency expects to eliminate its backlog of tax returns by the end of the calendar year, which will put the agency in a healthy state for next tax year's filing season. The commissioner told members of House Appropriations Committee's Financial Service and General Government Subcommittee last month that the IRS has used annual appropriations and American Rescue Plan funds to put more employees on processing tax returns and implement new technologies. We need to do more, the commissioner said during a hearing. We know it, and you know it. The IRS said it continues to work on a few remaining 2021 individual tax returns that have processing issues and require additional information from the taxpayer, and that employees continue to process tax returns filed in the order they received them, so that they're still working on last year, as they say. The IRS said that at this point in the calendar year, the agency has more than twice as many returns that awaiting processing compared to a typical year. I think it's more than that. However, the agency has also processed nearly 1 million more returns than it normally would at this point in a typical year, because many more were done electronically. The IRS said it's also improved the process for taxpayers whose paper electronic returns were suspended for manual review and correction. Last filing season, the IRS tax examiner could correct an average of 70 tax returns with errors per hour. New IRS technology implemented this filing season, however, has allowed tax examiners to correct 180 to 240 returns per hour. Well, that's a big increase. As of June 10th this year, the IRS has 360,000 returns awaiting correction, down from 8.9 million returns in errors resolution in June 2021. That had a lot to do with the changes of the law and credit unions, and a lot of people made math errors. There was a record number of math errors made last year, and those all had to be corrected by hand. The IRS said a greater percentage of this year's inventory awaiting process is comprised of original returns, which generally take less time to process than amended returns. The commissioner said in a statement Tuesday that the IRS remains focused on doing everything possible to expedite the processing of tax returns, and that the IRS is continuing its hiring efforts this summer. IRS employees have been working tirelessly to process these tax returns as quickly as possible and help people who are waiting for refunds and resolution of an account issue. Completing the individual returns filed last year with no errors is a major milestone, but there is still work to do. They always sound like they're always trying to sell you something. The IRS continues to rely on overtime for the staff to get a handle on the backlog. The agency has also deployed surge teams. We reported on that, on the IRS employees from other divisions, and has temporarily assigned them to work on the backlog. They have to be trained. The IRS announced earlier this month it's looking to hire more than 4,000 contact representative positions at several agency offices around the country. Contact representatives assist taxpayers over the phone, through written correspondence, or in person. The commissioner said that the sustained funding increases for the IRS will help the IRS add more employees to process tax returns and answer phones, as well as overhaul its legacy. What do they need? More money. They always need more money. Excuse me. Most every commissioner over the last few decades has stated that inconsistent funding is among the most frustrating experience that they can have. Americans deserve a fully functioning, successful Internal Revenue Service. We need more money. More money, more money, more money. I think that's just wrong. The House Appropriations Committee is calling for giving the IRS $1 billion increase to its top-line budget for fiscal 2023. We talked about that already. I reported on that last week. The IRS this proposal would see the biggest spending increase in its enforcement and taxpayer service operations, if in fact that's where they spend it. The committee's draft financial services and general government spending bill, released last week, demonstrates a willingness from some lawmakers to gradually restore the IRS's budget through annual appropriations. The subcommittee approved the draft spending plan last Thursday. Well, if Congress does change, that also might change. Here's another story I just want to touch on. It says much of the same things, but it's got some additional information, so I wanted to include it. The IRS is making progress on tax return backlog, but millions remain unprocessed. The commissioner left that part out, including 11 million individual tax returns. So there's 11 million that still need to be processed. The IRS is making progress on its backlog of unprocessed tax returns, but millions remain, the agency said. As of June 10th, the IRS had completed about 4.5 million of the more than 4.7 million individual paper returns from 2021, and the agency expects to finish error-free individual filings from 2021 this week, it said Tuesday. So error-free. So they're not going to complete them, just the error-free ones. The IRS has also processed most of the 2022 filings, more than 143 million returns, and issued nearly 98 million refunds worth $298 billion. We already talked about that. Yes, they're all done electronically, and those are not what they're having problems with. However, the IRS still faces more than twice as many unprocessed tax returns compared with a typical year, the agency said. There were 11 million pending individual returns as of June 10th, including filings received before 2022 and new 2021 returns, according to the IRS. Completing the individual returns filed last year with no errors is a major milestone, but there is still work to do. We remain focused on doing everything possible to expedite process. We already went through this. The backlog should absolutely be cleared. This is what I wanted to include and we reported on this when he said it. The pileup created by years of budget cuts, it's not created by years of budget cuts. It just isn't. Understaffing, here it is. Here's the reason. Pandemic-related office closures and added duties should absolutely resolve by December, the commissioner said in March, appearing before the House Ways and Means Committee. It has nothing to do with years of budget cuts. That had when everybody was home from the IRS for 8 months or a year longer, I believe 80% are still home. How are you going to get anything done? It's got nothing to do with the budget from the years before. As of today, barring any unforeseen circumstances, if the world stays as it is today, and it never does, we will be what we call healthy by the end of the calendar year 2022 and enter 2023 filing season with normal inventories, he said. The commissioner promised to House lawmakers came about a week after the agency unveiled plans to hire 10,000 workers to tackle the backlog, with 5,000 new employees in coming months. However, Chief Taxpayer Experience Officer at the IRS told the House Oversight Committee in May that the agency hadn't yet hired half of the 5,000 workers. So they haven't even hired them. Yeah, they need them, but they haven't hired them. So that's the stories today. There's a couple more stories. They're in the description. You can find them there. Good stories. Again, they're predicting that they should finish last year's. We're already into July. We're coming on to month 7. And they haven't finished last year's tax returns. So if you had filed a paper return for 2021 in 2022, still work to do. So anyway, that's the stories today. Thanks so much for joining us. I had some technical issues today, and that caused a backlog. And so here we are. That was my backlog. Remember, as I always do, I ask you to like and subscribe. We want to get this content out, and we need your help to do so. So help us. Like and subscribe, please. We need your help. And remember, if you owe the IRS money, or if you have unfiled tax returns, and it's troubling you, and you don't know what to do, the first thing you should do is get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com, freeirsbook.com. Get your free copy of Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. We do ask, if you want a hard copy of the book, to ask for we do ask for a small shipping fee. We include a bunch of bonuses with the hard copy, and the shipping fee that we ask for doesn't even cover the shipping. So, so again, go to freeirsbook.com, get your copy of Deal with Your IRS Problem today. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We appreciate it. Try to overcome our problems. I don't want to talk about Windows updates. Always a trouble. Always a problem when they update. I have problems with my microphone and my speakers, and that causes trouble. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.